All right. So, my name is Marcos. I'm a school teacher on my lunch break, so I'm going to use this empty classroom to go ahead and, I guess, add a new video to my channel Anytime Faster. I have a pretty interesting life story and some pretty good experiences. But what I'd like to share with you today is a little bit about what was going on with me medically that sort of kind of led me to this point in my decision to start fasting. So it wasn't long after the birth of my first child, 39, that I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, also known as insulin resistance. Of course, as you guys can see, I'm overweight, sedentary, and I had high blood pressure. I think it was like 155 over 92 or something like that. And something I was hypertensive. I was pretty sedentary. I mean, I stand all day, but standing and exercising are completely different things. So, and when I was overweight, I'm still overweight, but I started off the school year in August at 323 pounds, my heaviest ever. So since then, what I've decided to do, especially in the last 30 days or so, is institute a program of intermittent fasting. Well, it's prolonged intermittent fasting. So what that means, and for those of you that are brand new to this, intermittent fasting just means that you have an eating window every day, and you eat intermittently. So your fasting protocol could be, 16 hours fasted, and then you have an 8-hour window in which you eat, which isn't really that hard to do since you sleep approximately 8 to 9 hours of the day. So anyway, but fasting, prolonged fasting is when you go, to me anyway, more than, let's say, 24 hours, 24 hours of the day, more than 24 hours without consuming a meal. So you have some guys that follow a protocol called OMAD. OMAD is an interesting intermittent fasting protocol. I consider it intermittent fasting. It stands for 1 meal a day. Then you have your 16-8 fasters, right? So fasted for 16 hours, and then they try and squeeze in all their meals within that 8-hour period. Now, with type 2 diabetes, basically speaking, we've been taught that we need to go ahead and medicate. My doctor wanted me to medicate immediately. That wasn't the right thing for me. I read a book called The Obesity Code by a fellow named Jason Fung, and in it he describes how we just keep on prescribing insulin. So someone's insulin resistant with type 2 diabetes, instead of handling the root of the problem, modern medicine wants to address the symptoms. And the symptoms, of course, would be, to address the symptoms directly, they just add more insulin. Well, insulin is a weight gain hormone in the body, so a lot of times when people go on insulin, they experience increased weight gain. And once their body adapts to that and their lifestyle and eating habits haven't changed, then eventually they're going to need more and more insulin. So that being the case, that's not the route that I wanted to take. So I only have a few minutes left here. So basically speaking, what I decided to do immediately is I went on something called a keto diet, right? So with keto, a lot of people, there's a lot of confusion. What is keto? Keto essentially states that approximately 80% of your calories, about 70% of your calories are being taken in from fats. So you have 70% over here. You're taking less than 20 grams or about 20 grams of carbs, depending on how big you are. I mean, you might stretch it to 50, but 20 to 50 grams of carbs, and then the rest of it's going to be protein, right? So, you know, a lot of healthy fats, a lot of, you know, you see MCT oil, and we can get into another video on that, on what exactly is keto. But essentially what I did is I started a keto protocol immediately, which really lowered my insulin, lowered my blood pressure, and I actually lost a little bit of weight. So 323 pounds turned into, instead, I hovered right at about 305 for a while. And so I plateaued there because I was still taking in a bunch of food. Now, even though my body was fat adapted or using fat for fuel, and I could measure that with these things called keto sticks to measure the ketones in my urine, it was using exogenous sources of fat, meaning fat that I ingested, and it was burning that. But what it wasn't burning was my belly fat. So what I decided to do, and I ran into a fella, I ran into his channel, snake diet, right? I was reading watching Thomas DeLauer. I was reading this Jason Fung, and you know, in it they talk about prolonged fasting, which sounded crazy to me, because I was somebody that, you know, would get the shakes, you know, when I don't eat, right? So after, and I stress this, if you're going to follow this path, I stress the fact that you go into keto first. So go into keto first, and then once you're in keto and you're adapted to eating keto for about, let's say, a week or so, maybe 2, then you can go ahead and try fasting. Trying to fast when you're not keto is for me, it's harder, right? Anyway, so I tried to get rid of the sedentary part of my lifestyle, so I'm a little bit more active. I like to walk, but really what I'm doing is I'm following, at the moment, an extended fast, supplemented by this stuff called snake juice, which is essentially potassium chloride, which is like if you go to your supermarket and get no salt, potassium chloride, and sodium chloride, which is table salt, mixed together, and I mix that with water, and I take that in to get a good source of minerals, because those are one of the things that you deplete. When you're on a water fast and you're drinking water all the time, your body, when you urinate, is constantly losing minerals. So this helps sort of kind of replenish and keep you going. And if you've got enough fat, you can go a good time, a very good length of time. You know, so I'm documenting that right now. My goal is 30 days. So currently, I broke through the 305 plateau, and right now I am at 294. And as I continue this journey, I'm on day 2 of my fast. As I continue this journey, I'll go ahead and document the weight loss, maybe do some before and after photos, so I can show you guys that it is possible for a type 2 diabetic to fast, do a prolonged fast, using some of these protocols that are out there, and really come up with a cure not only for type 2 diabetes, but all the symptoms that come along with it, everything that's comorbid, like, let's say, obesity and high blood pressure. I haven't measured it, but I'm pretty sure if I was to measure my blood pressure right now, it would fall within normal parameters. And I'll be honest with you, I'm on day 2. After having been fat adapted through keto, I don't feel any shortage of energy or anything. So it's definitely something that we're going to document, and this isn't exactly scientific, but for those of you that are searching for information and are, you don't know what to do, and you hit on a lot of these things, if that's you, then you're me, and we're taking this journey together. All right, that's it for me. Anytime faster. Thanks.